So just to kind of introduce really the Tunnel Gallery and what that is to people who don't know, it is an exploration of public art in Middlesbrough. The Tunnel Gallery was actually started in 2013 as a project by Mark Parham, and it's been quiet for the last couple of years, and it really became something that we were interested in exploring further in terms of Middlesbrough's Historic England Heritage Action Zone. So we were able to secure a little bit of funding to explore public art in Middlesbrough through the Tunnel Gallery with some funding there. Sorry, I'm just letting someone in the waiting room. So from autumn 2020, the four organisations of Navigator North, the Auxiliary, Platform Arts and Tees Valley Arts, as part of Middlesbrough Cultural Partnership, have been able to offer 5 commissions. The first 2 commissions we were able to realise in the real world. So we worked with artist Sarah Cooper and photography collective Wax. So Sarah's work is currently physically in the Tunnel Gallery. So the Tunnel Gallery is the pedestrian subway in Middlesbrough railway station. So that is there and can be seen. And the Wax Commission sits underneath the A66 road bridge on Albert Road, very close to Middlesbrough railway station, on a billboard. So that's that there. So we're going to talk a little bit more about, Connor's going to talk about his commission, building the virtual Tunnel Gallery space. And then as part of this opening event, we have the work of Annie O'Donnell in the virtual gallery. And we also have a project from North East Statues in the virtual gallery as well as the creation of a new website that hosts all of these virtual galleries. So we're really pleased to be able to launch that today and really kind of acknowledge all the artists and the partners who've helped make this happen, really. So I think probably what I'm going to do is hand over to Connor next, and then when we get to the end of Connor's talk, we will do some questions and answers and have a chat about how it's been. So what I'm going to do, Connor, I'll hand over to you.
Sounds good. Me on there. I'll get my screen shared. Is that coming through okay?
Yes, it is, Connor. You're good.
Okay, fine.
Yeah.
So yeah, thanks for having me in on this commission, doing the Tunnel Gallery virtual gallery project. I've got a little presentation put together. It's kind of a breakdown of this specific project, this specific commission, but also kind of my own practice over the past few years and how that's kind of evolved into this kind of virtual gallery practice, which is my main practice right now, really. So, I mean, I am the director of Dovetail Joints, so that's an organisation based in Middlesbrough that I started with fellow curator and artist Bobby Benjamin, who's now the co-director of Pineapple Black. Back in 2016, we started Dovetail Joints as it existed then, just out of a small flat above Club Bongo. We started this gallery as I was doing my foundation diploma at CCAD, so having that hands-on experience and having that space to experiment at that early stage of your career was really vital for me in developing into the kind of like an independent practitioner that I am now. And it was a way to explore different ideas and experiment without with the freedom that doesn't come when you're getting graded and moderated like you are on a actual course. We put on between 12th of May 2016 and up to September time, we put on a variety of like exhibitions and live events and stuff where I took on a lot of the branding side of things, working in Photoshop a lot, which was a new experience for me there. It was kind of a blank slate to experiment on and manipulate, much like the space was itself. It also allowed me, these are some examples of early sculpture installations, the Felix the Gallery exhibitions 1 and 3. I was situated in the same room in this small flat above the bongo both times. I kind of had free rein to just do what I wanted up there, really, and completely make the space my own, which was really, really liberating. Slowly, as the space evolved, like in the Felix 1, we had this horrible green carpet in there, and it still very much felt like a bedroom. But over time, we were able to like repaint the walls white, tear all that up, get the space really feeling like a proper gallery space. These are some examples of sculptural installations that I did on the side of what I was studying in CCAD, and my interests at the time were very much it was very recent then. There had been in the news about gravitational waves being proven to exist. So it was kind of playing on that whole thing with these wave distortions, and then also working with a lot of number sequencing, like the Fibonacci sequence, a lot of stuff that would feed into my later practice studying architecture at university. So we ran the space above the bongo until like September time, when I left to go to Newcastle to study architecture at Northumbria University. Did a lot of projects and developed my skills in spatial design, CAD drawing, the very early stages of learning software like SketchUp and V-Ray, which have all been pivotal in the practice that I carry out now. Learn like surveying skills, but still retaining some sort of artistic flair that I brought with me from the foundation course and from being so involved in the Middlesbrough art scene and the DIY art scene before leaving. This was like a dean, Jesmond Dean in Newcastle. It was a gatehouse to kind of bring people from the edge of this natural corridor running through Newcastle to the centre through this multi-sensory experience. And it was a really, that was the first time in my own architectural and artistic practice where I was really able to just bring all these different influences together and really put myself into my work. Because my real entry point in getting into an interest in architecture was through the brutalist architecture, anything concrete, the Spomenik monuments in former Yugoslavia, that kind of thing. That monumental feel that I think I also tried to convey in my own practice when exhibiting above the Club Bongo in the Felix the Gallery space. After leaving university, I got my BA in architecture. In 2019, I graduated, so there was a bit of a lull for that summer when I was trying to get back into the field, get that first part 1 job, which I'm sure ask anyone who's just graduated the BA in architecture, it can be a nightmare to get your first graduate job in the field. Luckily though, I managed to find a 3-month placement in Seville through a program called Capacity London. So for this, I was working at an architectural visualization firm who specialised in SketchUp and V-Ray. They were their software of choice. So working for them, it really helped to push them skills that I began to develop in university to the next level. Working on projects like these, which were competition entries that they'd submitted for fish markets at various places in Spain. So my role in this was creating these site models, these 3D models that they would then drop their scheme onto and create these renders. So to do this, similar to how I work now, it was a case of we couldn't actually visit the site, but we had stuff like site plans, and then I would just have to look on Google Street View and work out things like heights and how these plazas and cities are actually laid out in terms of like, the standard size of a step or a brick, and then just scaling it up from there to create these fully realized 3D models to scale. So after carrying out this 3-month placement, I came back to the UK. I had well, working alongside that, I had all the software on my laptop. I worked on my laptop in the studio, so I was able to take the software with me and really develop my own skills in it, and integrate it in my own practice. I wasn't limited to only using that software within the workplace. So there was an exhibition while we were there called 92 DS. So 92 days. It was like everyone who was on that placement kind of submitted a piece of work, sort of representing their time and how they spent it there. So to further develop like the skills that I was picking up in the architectural firm and recontextualize them into a more of a fine art context, I did a fully measured survey of the corridor and stairs leading up to my flat, which was a transitional space that I encountered on a daily basis. But so you'd know it so well, despite the fact that you don't directly acknowledge it, like almost ever. So it was a case of looping that around to create more of a fixed location out of this transitional space. And so this was the first experience in my own practice actually surveying and photographing a space and using these real world textures, like photographing tiles on the wall, the tiles on the floor, the wall paint, everything, and actually bring it into the 3D model to try and get something that looks near photorealistic, was the end goal with it, really. And it allows you to take these, in the same way that with a lot of these newer projects, it's taking this existing fabric, replicating it, but then you've got all the benefits of being able to actually distort, loop, and do things with these spaces that just wouldn't be possible in real life. So after coming back from Seville, there was another lull. I was working at a bookshop for a while, which led to, well, I was working at the bookshop until about March time, so about 3 months, and then this is when, you know, COVID hit, and that bookshop actually shut down, really. In this time, as of November, while I was in Seville, Bobby had actually stepped back from dovetail joints and to focus on the Pineapple Black project that you started with Stephen Irving. And until this point, I actually been quite absent, really, working on my uni work and being in another city and stuff. My involvement with dovetail joints hadn't been that extensive, really. But after hearing that he was planning on stepping back and I had this opportunity to take over, it seemed like a no-brainer, really. So I managed to put on one exhibition between January and March in Disgraceland in Middlesbrough. It was a photography exhibition. And I was planning on exhibition number 2 at the time of lockdown hitting, which would have been a video exhibition based in the space upstairs at Pineapple Black. But then obviously March hit, everything shut down, and it was a case of, do I just let this thing die, or do I find a way to use all of these different influences and these different, recontextualize all these different elements of my practice into something that is a more of a holistic whole, like bringing the architectural side of everything and the curatorial side of everything and kind of mash them together. Which is what birthed the virtual gallery itself, the Dovetail Joints virtual gallery, the initial one. The exterior was based on the Global Seed Vault in Norway. I'd envisioned it as being this kind of storage facility for artwork, you know, post-COVID, that same kind of archival topology, architecturally speaking. The gallery itself would be like in this take the form of almost like a tunnel, to be fair, bringing it full circle, like an ever-expanding series of gallery spaces, one added onto the other. Since with this medium, you aren't limited on space necessarily, like you would be in a traditional gallery space. You don't need to put an exhibition up, take it down, to put another one up. You could just keep that additive way of working. And also, through doing this, it kind of took on the this hybrid functionality between gallery and archive, because as the program moves forward, it leaves each step behind of it, leaving this kind of chronology of the gallery's program that's just accessible all the time. Today on that specific gallery project, I've had 16 exhibitions, work with a massive variety of artists, some like really great artists. It's been amazing really to be able to collaborate with so many people and network with so many people and have so many people giving you their ideas of how they would like their work to be shown, and it really gives you that extra perspective and that extra push to do something different with the medium and not get stuck in your own biases and stuck in your own preferences. You really get pushed out of your comfort zone quite often. This is, for example, on the left here, this is the another home exhibition, which was actually the beginnings of what was supposed to be the first exhibition at Pineapple Black. It was all about, based around this theme of escapism in the digital realm, which is somewhat relevant now. And on the right there, it's one of the conversation exhibitions that I would put on, where it would be two artists that I would pair up if I thought that their work meshed well together. And it was a good excuse to kind of pair up more emerging artists and more established artists and have that dialogue and bring all people up to the same level, which is something that we'd always try to do, me and Bobby, when we were initially starting up the Dovetail Joints project. Again, this was all my project, so it was I was able to have total control over the branding this time. With the original Dovetail Joints, the Felix the Gallery posters, Bobby provided the initial sketch for that, and I kind of worked on that. But with this one, it was very much built from the ground up. So I kind of took these the Orbi strips that you get on these records and applied them to like the people's artworks and made the poster out of that. So my actual graphic design inclusion on the poster is pretty minimal. It's like their work kind of takes the center stage there. This culminated in my own studies regarding the virtual gallery medium, and my own attempts to build something organically from the medium and legitimize it as its own thing rather than a replacement for regular exhibition spaces. Because I could see this, while this was a nice alternative during lockdown periods when other galleries can't open, you're setting yourself a very short lifetime by focusing only on being a replacement. I wanted to create something that would be still relevant post-lockdown and have its own place in the arts scene, something that wouldn't lose relevancy. So this was kind of an analysis of how the virtual gallery medium itself is a spatial illusion that's inherently dishonest. So it was breaking down, okay, why is that the case? Kind of shatter that illusion and then build up new work from the fragments. So it was these degrees of separation, honesty-wise, in terms of how honest it is. Like, for example, on the top here, you've got, in terms of gravity, on the left-hand side, you've got what would be the most honest way of exhibiting a piece of work in the real world, which would be just laid on the floor, completely abiding by the laws of physics, and there's no illusion there. Whereas when you're working in the virtual gallery space, that's not a thing. Gravity isn't a thing. To put something on the floor would be to pretend that there is a force being acted there that isn't really there. So it was finding all these different spectrums of spectrums of honesty, really. This was had an essay. This exhibition had an essay accompanying it, which was launched on the Invert Extant platform, which is still available to read. Funnily enough, one of the aspects of this that was analysed was of value and how it could be infinitely replicated and infinitely distributed, which is kind of already been put out of date in recent months with all this, the rise of NFTs and opening artworks, so that like digital objects can have the same sort of value implemented on them as real life objects. So it's going to be interesting to see where that leads further. So with this, that was the main, that ran from March last year until, it's still running recently, but less so. because right now a lot of what I work on is collaborating with other gallery spaces, such as this Tunnel Gallery one. This is the first of them, which was a submission for the Bollock, well, it was the Bollock 39 open call for the summer exhibition, which was recreating their space using photos of the space and a fire plan that I found online, and creating that digital twin of it, which I would propose to have a second open call and then exhibit that exhibition within their open call exhibition, and kind of using that virtual exhibition medium to bring these kind of meta narrative exhibition within an exhibition kind of things, which it was accepted. The open call that I was going to host didn't take place, but it's currently being exhibited in the summer show as a proposal, and you kind of scan a QR code and look around the empty Bollock 39 virtual space. The first commissioned virtual gallery space twin that was brought to me was an opportunity to create the auxiliary URL space. I actually was already a studio holder at the auxiliary, so this was an ideal situation really. I was already very familiar with the space. I could bring my laptop in and work in the space and survey, do the measurements, photograph the space, get the textures, everything while working there. And it was a really fun space to model, to be fair. And you learn with these kinds of warehouses, it was a good learning experience to learn the structural makeup of these buildings and how it's all put together. Also coming full circle, back to working with Bobby again on the virtual pineapple black space, which is currently selected as well. It was only yesterday actually, we launched a new exhibition together with the working class creatives. This was brought to me by him when they got some local funding. So we're still working together. We've got around about, we were looking at about 10 exhibitions total so far, but we've released 3 exhibitions total so far. So I'm really looking forward to seeing what else we've got to work on there. Another collaborative project was the Wet Dovetail space. This is not a real warehouse that this has been based on. This is entirely fictional. This was a collaboration with Wet Productions, who I'd previously collaborated with on a couple of exhibitions in the Dovetail Joints virtual gallery. So we managed to get some Arts Council funding to create our own virtual space, which would be inhabited by a series of large-scale open call exhibitions. This is now more in terms of my own output, in terms of projects that I have a lot of creative influence on, where I'm not necessarily being hired to do to carry out someone else's vision. This is my main output now above the Dovetail Joints virtual gallery. So I'm running this with Charlie Wood of Wet Productions. We've had 4 or 5 virtual exhibitions since November time. So that all leads us, here we go, the Wet Dovetail. This is again the branding efforts, following on from the other brand identity work that I've been doing on the other gallery projects. It was very much laying this blank slate and then making small additions to it each exhibition to kind of give it its own identity, doing these line drawing, not fully rendered perspectives, but line drawing perspectives of each space to kind of give a hint of what you're going to see before you walk in. And this is the most recent one I've been working on, which was with Newcastle University. With Newcastle University. This was the 2020 graduates degree show, which they weren't able to do. So I was brought in to create a virtual exhibition for them, and replicating the Hatton Gallery, which was really a lot of fun. They had a lot of floor plans and photos and stuff for me to work from. So this space in particular was a lot of fun to model and render. So this brings us full circle to the Tunnel Gallery commission, which I've been brought in on. And here it is. I've upgraded my V-Ray software everything recently, so now flying through videos like this are very much possible, which is good through real-time rendering. The process of actually building something like this, and this whole process applies to all of these other projects that I've been talking about as well, really. It all starts just from a very basic measured survey. It used to be tape measure, now it's the laser measurers. So you do a fully measured survey and photograph the space, get the textures, get an idea of heights, like, okay, how big is a brick? Okay, how many bricks is that? Okay, that's the ceiling height. That is all then put into a floor plan, which is then extruded up into a 3D model, fully textured, extended up for the ceiling heights. Tileable components such as pillars, lighting rigs along the side, and arches allow for a much speedier, smoother modelling process. As things like these pillars here, you can just copy and paste them in this 3D modelling software down the entirety of the gallery, and as you work on one, they all get altered with it. So you're kind of building big chunks of the space all simultaneously as it all updates it for you, which makes for a really, really positive modelling process. So these are the screen grabs straight out of SketchUp as the empty gallery as it is right now. And then from this 3D model, this is where the V-Ray extension comes in. The V-Ray almost acts like a virtual camera that's like a 360-degree camera. So it takes these 360-degree flattened renders that kind of loop around on themselves, and all these lights here sort of light the space, and you put all this data into the textures that show, like, okay, how will that reflect light? Will it be more of a glossy material like this, or will it be more a standard concrete like this? So I get multiple points around the 3D model taking these kinds of 360-degree renders, which are then imported into a virtual tour software. So if you imagine just a series of like spheres with this texture projected on the middle of it, so you can kind of look around and be fully immersed in that space. And these are all then linked with these navigation points. So these the navigation almost acts a lot like Google Street View, where you just click in from one 360-degree photo to another. So you're not actually fully, though it feels like you're immersed in the space, you're not actually you don't have a full range of movement and freedom within that space. You're limited to where these renders have been taken from. So, I mean, with projects like these, with the tunnel gallery in particular, there's three main uses that I can see for this kind of thing, which is experiencing the space itself. If you've never been to Middlesbrough, you can now actually just have a walk through the tunnel gallery and get a feel for what that space is like, and just experience the space for the space, even without the gallery in, because we've uploaded an empty version of the gallery that you can just walk through and just see the gallery itself rather than the work within it. Then it comes down to works like Sarah's, where it's an existing installation that's already in the space and kind of recreating that in the virtual medium for people to see who can't access it. And it also works in terms of providing an archive of these real life installations by creating a copy of them. And then we've also got things like Annie's show, for example, which has never actually been in the tunnel gallery, which is exclusive to the virtual tunnel gallery. So it allows these creative freedoms that are not allotted when you're replicating a real life exhibition. There's a lot more you can do curatorially, and you can scale things up. Printing all of these kinds of scale to paste them would be very expensive. But with this, it's just a case of drag and drop, really. With the website itself, I developed that too. I took a lot of influence from my Dovetail Joint Virtual Gallery project, which was to keep things as minimal as possible, and just the website stands back and just lets the windows into these virtual exhibitions take full precedent. It's letting the gallery, letting the website itself act as a framing device, really. So what's next? I'm currently working at the Sustainable Design Studio, working on 3D models of houses, eco-friendly housing schemes. So I'm working there part-time, looking at getting into more of the construction technology side of things. Also with the Wet Dovetail project, we've got an open call right now. We're collaborating with Pineapple Black on a simultaneous, we've done this once before where we have the virtual window within the Wet Dovetail space and also the real life Pineapple Black window. We'll bring in an artist, give them their artist fee and have them simultaneously exhibiting in both mediums, sort of bridging the two and bringing this sort of virtual gallery medium more into the real world, which I think is going to be vital as we move out of lockdown. So I just hop off that. This is the tunnel gallery itself. I'll show you a little on how the actual. So this is how you navigate the tunnel gallery. So despite the fact that it looks like there's a lot of depth here, in reality this is basically just a curved flat surface that you're looking at with these little points on the surface of that circle, the sphere even. So it allows for a full range of motion and little clickable points like this where bits of text and image pop-ups and stuff can be implemented to allow people to view works in full detail and zoom in on them, and also to get a bit of background on the work and the artist and provide that context. So yeah, we're launching with the empty gallery and 4 viewable exhibitions. And yeah, that should be good. That should be live actually right now. If anyone would like to check it out, it's the tunnelgallery.org. And yeah, thanks for listening. This has been the Tunnel Gallery virtual space.